We welcome you to our seminar today. This information is presented by the local floodplain management staff from the various jurisdictions. And we also have the state representing the state office of insurance and financial institution. We are trying to focus on the City of Tucson floodplain management goal, and that is to reduce flood and erosion hazards, damage, and associated costs. We will be providing information for each of the jurisdictions. We'll start off with City of Tucson, and then at the end of each presentation, we'll open it up for questions. So you can post your questions in the chat at any time, and we'll look at those questions at those intervals. You can also hold up your hand and we can answer questions verbally as well at the end of each presentation. Like I mentioned, it's about lowering our risk and lowering flood-related costs. We're going to be talking about a variety of information, and we'll just get into that. First, I'll let you know that our presenters today from the City of Tucson, that's myself, me. I am Elizabeth Leipold, City of Tucson civil engineer. I work in floodplain administration, and I'm the CRS coordinator. We also have Dennis Roberts from the town of Oro Valley. We have Edward Eastburn at the town of Marana. We have Nalo Nalavale. He may be joining us, or we may be presenting for him today, and we're gonna provide information on the town of Swarita. And we also have Camille Hall, who is from the Pima County Regional Flood Control District, and Carrie O'Brien, who is from the Arizona Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions. Tucson is unique. We experience quite a lot of rain. We get almost a foot of rain. The summer rains are more in the range of 7 inches, approximately, give or take, depending on any given year. And then we have a lighter rainy season in the winter. We have convective types of storms during the monsoon, and sometimes these monsoons are called chubascos and can be like a microstorm. We also have the tropical storms that come up from the Baja area of Cortez, and those can bring heavy rains from tropical storms and hurricanes. There's a huge number of different related stormwater issues, ranging from subsidence. We've been experiencing that recently. We have encroachment issues with when we have illegal development occurring, fill is placed in areas of the floodplain. We have flash flooding, as you probably all are aware, and we're trying to avoid things like ponding or stagnant water to offset issues such as mosquito-borne illnesses. There's so many, a variety of safety concerns related to flood hazards, and the City of Tucson has a set of regulations to address many of these issues. We also have a floodplain management plan. This is part of our Tucson stormwater management study that came about after the 1983 floods. And this is our floodplain management plan is phase 5 of that master plan. We're working on the 5-year update currently, and you can go to the City of Tucson's website and go to the bottom of the main city homepage. You'll see floodplain administration link, and you can find out more about our floodplain management plan. The FEMA, or Federal Emergency Management Agency, administers the National Flood Insurance Program. That program provides what we call the community rating system. And so if a community participates in that NFIP program, we get points or credits associated with various types of activities that the community does, such as doing floodplain use permitting, inspections for drainage, etc. And those credits equate to discounts in flood insurance. This presentation is part of that discount in that it's part of an outreach event.
Elizabeth, we were asked if you could hide the Teams Microsoft message at the bottom.
Oh, there's a hide button.
Thank you.
How's that?
Good, thank you.
We also would like to share information generally about flood insurance. Flood insurance is available to any property, whether you're in a high-risk FEMA zone or a non-FEMA zone. You do not have to be in a certain type of flood area to get flood insurance. Flood insurance is not part of the regular insurance that you'll get for your home insurance. You have to buy it separately. You can buy flood insurance even if your mortgage lender does not require it. An interesting fact, the city of Tucson had almost 2/3 of the policies in the Tucson area were not in the high-risk FEMA zone. So a lot of people understand that they need flood insurance for even local floodplain areas. And they understand the risk with monsoon. The city of Tucson has two types of floodplain, the FEMA floodplain and then our local floodplain areas that we've mapped. You can talk to your insurance agent if you're interested in getting a quote for flood insurance. Typically, there's a 30-day wait. And so that's why we like to do this presentation about 30 days before monsoon starts. So that if you're considering getting flood insurance, you can buy it now and be prepared for the first week of July. The city of Tucson provides a service that can check your flood status. Our engineering staff can let you know if you're located in a local floodplain that doesn't need high-risk flood insurance, or if you're located in the high-risk FEMA zones. Keep in mind that if you're in a FEMA zone, you will be triggered for flood insurance if you have a federally backed loan. The city of Tucson requires permits in either flood zones, the local floodplain, whether it's mapped or unmapped, or FEMA high-risk flood zones. Walls and fences require a permit. The reason for that is they can be obstructing flow, and so we want to make sure that they have proper openings. This is an example of a potential clogging issue with a fence. There's various types of FEMA flood zones, the X unshaded, X shaded, and the A zones. The A zones are locations where flood insurance may be required. There's various types of flood zones, as mentioned. The highest risk area is considered what we call the floodway. Those are located in the regional watercourses such as the Pantano, the Rito, the Santa Cruz River. We also have special X zones. Some of them require permitting, some of them do not. The diagram showed here, the blue area is the Santa Cruz River, and there's some commercial industrial buildings located in an X shaded area that we consider or designated by FEMA as protected by a levee from the 100-year flood. It may not be protected from the 500-year flood. As you can see, the 500-year flood in the darker gray area extends beyond it. So those buildings might be at risk during a large 500-year event. There's various programs that the city of Tucson has. We have levee emergency response planning. We have our Operation Splash sandbag program. We develop critical infrastructure plans, and we have coordination with the county with their warning system. We also look for grants to help with funding projects, and we work closely with Pima County Flood Control District and the Army Corps of Engineers to assist us with projects. We also work on updating our flood map data so we can help identify where these locations, high-risk locations are located. We're looking at improving our warning systems. We continue to do that through the years. The city of Tucson has these medium and low risk zones, the X unshaded and X shaded areas, but they all need permits if they're considered in a jurisdictional local floodplain. It's important to confirm if your property is located in a local municipal floodplain or a FEMA floodplain. And again, city staff is available to answer questions. We also provide information on erosion hazards. As mentioned, you'll need permits for either the FEMA or the local floodplain. So I think I've mentioned that a couple of these points here about how actually it was a third of all of our insurance policies in the city are in the X zones. I think I mentioned 2/3. It's 1/3. And so those areas are, those people have chosen to get flood insurance even though it's not required. The city of Tucson's policy is that everyone should consider getting flood insurance because it's hard to forecast what a monsoon could do. One year, a mountain got hit, and folks that were up on the hill there had serious flood issues. So even though you may be high up on a hill, you could still have damage from flooding. This is the RITO in 2006. As mentioned, we do a variety of activities, and we have codes and regulations. We do outreach events, and all these add up to a 20% discount for the city of Tucson constituents if they purchase flood insurance. Keep in mind that you can purchase flood insurance for the building, or you could get contents coverage, or you could get both. We recommend for rental properties a policy for contents. Keep in mind that the city of Tucson was built prior to our first FEMA floodplain maps in the early 1980s. So many homes may be at risk because they were built prior to our flood mapping data. Those structures that are built before the 80s or early 80s may want to consider getting flood insurance, or at least checking to see their status, so flood status, to see whether or not they're at risk. There's a diagram at the bottom of this slide showing a forecast. It's from one of the almanacs. It doesn't show too much information other than it looks like it might be slightly drier monsoon. I've heard from other engineering staff that they are forecasting a wetter monsoon. It's hard to say what kind of storm activity we'll get this summer. There's many things that you can do to help prepare for monsoons. Clearing your gutters, making sure downspouts are at least 10 feet from your building. Consider coating sealants. Other floodproofing measures, you can hire a specialized environmental engineer to give you a full design for your flood prone building, and they can explain what options you might have. The city also provides a free field service where engineer staff will go out to your site and take a look and provide only general guidelines, as we can't provide a professional, or rather a detailed design for you. We can provide guidelines. There's a great opportunity for most properties to build in side yard interceptor swales. Those are little ditches along the sides of your building to allow water for lower flow events to drain around the building. This helps guide the water so it doesn't pond against the house. There's other things that you can do to help prevent hazards, such as raising your electrical equipment, electric panels, such as your electric panel or your AC above that regulatory flood depth. The city staff can provide you with information on how deep that might be for your property. Contact the city for more information. Post-fire conditions are a serious threat since there's an increase in runoff when those burned areas create a water repellent layer on the surface of the soil. So rain runs off faster and increases the potential for flooding. It also increases potential for debris flow. Those properties that are adjacent to existing flood areas or downstream from burn areas are at that increased risk. Per FEMA, only 1 inch of flood water in a home can cause $25,000 in damage. I believe this little snippet of information was provided by FEMA some years ago. So this 25,000 may be in the range of $30,000 to $50,000 today. This is another reason why to consider obtaining flood insurance. Wildfires have a special waiting period. I believe that the Bighorn sheep fire had a 0 waiting period after the fire was deemed to be under control. So there's special exceptions that may apply. You'll have to ask your insurance agent about those policies. There's other things you can do to reduce your risk. Removing flammable debris away from your home, keeping vegetation hydrated, pruning, and removing your stockpiles and disposing them properly. There's another tool that you can use. It's called My Alerts, and you can sign up at the Pima County's My Alerts homepage. This provides for local emergency alerts. Erosion hazards are another hazard to consider when you're looking at properties near regional watercourses or other washes. It's important to understand that even the regional watercourses with the soil cement embankments, they may actually only be providing less than the 100-year protection. Some cases they were built for a 50-year compliance. You can check with engineering staff on what your erosion hazard setback is from your local wash by coming down to the engineering offices at your jurisdiction. The city of Tucson also has worked with the MLS and have, have provided a couple of lines of information on each MLS that talk about flood status. One says FEMA flood insurance required, yes or no. And the other one says, is municipal flood permitting required, yes or no. These yes or no information may not be always accurate. So please check with your local jurisdiction to check whether the status of yes or no is correct for your property. You can get your flood status or elevation certificates at the city of Tucson. You can go, you can email us, call us, and we also have flood status requests in our City of Tucson Development Center online. If you type in City of Tucson Development Center online, you'll go into that website and you can search for flood zone status requests there as well. Uh, we can also mail elevation certificates out to you. Elevation certificates show data that was obtained by the city on a building and shows the finished floor elevation. These are construction certificates, and they're used for permitting purposes or insurance. These help with obtaining flood insurance in some cases. You can come down to the city or call us to get more information. The city of Tucson has been watching how Congress has been uh, regulating flood insurance. And over the years, there have been three changes. First, the Biggert Waters uh, Congress folk were working on looking at how they can uh, change actuarials and provide fairer flood insurance premiums. They essentially said, hey, look, if you're in this type of flood condition, you need to pay the fair amount. Uh, the second attempt was the uh, American Affordability Act. I think it was the Homeowners Flood Insurance Affordability Act in 2014. And it was saying, look, you can't just automatically force people to pay flood insurance all of a sudden. So they said, let's taper it off over a period of years. And then the third attempt was called Risk Rating 2.0. I'm not sure if Congress had a problem there. I think that should have been Risk Rating 3.0, but anyway, so that went into effect April 1st of 2023. This is a new set of actuarial rates, and there's a new tool associated with this latest update. And you can go to this website. It's at floodsmart.gov. Make sure you don't go to floodsmart.com. That's a insurance company. So you want to make sure you go to floodsmart.gov and you can find this tool, punch in your address and some other information, and it'll give you an estimate on your flood insurance cost. If you have questions, you can contact us at the City of Tucson Floodplain Administration website or email at Tucson Flood Erosion Info at tucsonaz.gov. We'll have this slide available on that website in a few days. So you can go over all this information then. Thank you. We also want to share with you some other events coming up this summer. Thursday, July 17th is the City of Tucson's Floodplain Management Plan 5-year update open house. All are welcome to attend, give your input on our floodplain management plan. Keep in mind, we'll have free raffle prizes held every 10 minutes at that open house. On Thursday, June 26th, we have from 3 to 5, the Tucson Stormwater Workshop. This is a workshop related to stormwater quality regulations, reducing pollutants in our storm drain system. If you'd like more information or if you'd like us to send you a reminder on these events, please add your email address in the chat. Also, don't drown, turn around. When in doubt, find another route. Does anybody have any questions?
We did have two in the chat, Elizabeth. We had one from Tom. Tom, did you want to unmute and ask your question?
Sure. Well, I know that Pima County has already put out a new floodplain management plan 2025. And I hear now you're just now getting around to yours. My question is, floodwaters know no boundaries. Why isn't Pima County? Why not doesn't Pima County and the city of Tucson work together and have a floodplain management plan for the whole area? Just doesn't make a sense to waste resources like that when staffing in many government offices is light anyway. So some thoughts on that.
Yes, we have some feedback for you. So the city of Tucson is a more urban-based area. We also have a different floodplain management study. Like I said, the TSMS master study. We also have different regulations. We have our own floodplain ordinance, and the city of Tucson does work with the county. In fact, just today, I met with the county on our floodplain management plan. So there is coordination between the county and the city for the city's floodplain management plan. We also coordinate with the county on the multi-jurisdictional hazard plan. And that's a multi-jurisdictional plan that includes not just floodplain, but other types of hazards such as drought and fire and other more hazardous conditions. You can look up information on that multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard plan on the Pima County website. Any other questions?
We did have one more in the chat from Jessica. Jessica, did you want to unmute?
Yeah, I was just wondering, you mentioned that there are companies that can come and do an assessment and have and come up with a plan for your property. Like, what kind of companies are those? Is there a list somewhere? What would I search for to find? one like
Yeah,
that?
that's an excellent question. I do have one or two contacts for flood proofing. We did have one really excellent group some years ago, and we lost that contact information. But you can contact most civil engineers that do drainage work or drainage studies or drainage uh, evaluations
Okay.
by contacting a civil engineer within the city of Tucson limits and asking them if they do flood proofing and see if they can come out and check out your property. You can also ask the city, um, if you're in the city limits, to set up a field meeting with our engineering staff, and we can give you some general guidelines. We could also maybe suggest, um, you know, kind of some focus points for you when you talk to those civil engineers about how to help with your flood proofing.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
And yeah, if you'd like to email me separately, I can give you a couple names. There's not that
Right.
many out there. That
Okay.
is a trick. So, but I'll try to help you out.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I just posted a quick question too.
Yes.
Hi, it's John. I have a question. Does the city on the elevation certificate information on file, how far back does that go? Does it go back to the older homes, say the pre-80s homes? Or is that something that will have to be created by an engineer or a surveyor to be able to get one?
That's a really great question. So elevation certificates are only good until the last FEMA update.
Okay.
So the 2011 map update that we had, that's approximate the date when that elevation certificate for your house or building would be valid. If the elevation certificate is older than 2011, it's good for general information. It may be on the wrong datum, but it could give you some guidelines to get an idea of maybe is it worth it to try to look at doing something to lower my insurance rates. There are a few things you can do for a home that's already paying flood insurance. There may be things to get you out of having to pay flood insurance,
I
uh,
doubt
or or getting an X rate instead of an A rate.
Okay.
So there's various things you can do, but we do have elevation certificates that could go way back. We don't have everybody's elevation certificates. We do have ones that have submitted for an elevation certificate inquiry or elevation certificates that were submitted under a permit. We do have those available.
So if there isn't one on file, does that mean the only way to get one is to have a survey done and have it supplied to the city?
Yes. So to get a new one, you can go on to that City of Tucson online permitting system there, the development online, and you set up a request for an elevation certificate for your address. And then the Planning and Development Services Department engineering staff will determine the elevation, the water surface elevation, fill out portions of that elevation certificate, and then send it out to either your surveyor or to you. And then the surveyor will go out and shoot the rest of the elevations so that you can compare it to that water surface.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured the process was, but I was just checking.
Any other questions?
It looks like we have one more that might be popping in the chat.
Can you read it to me, please?
Tom, would you like to unmute?
Oh, yes, my question goes back to Elizabeth, when I asked the question why the city and the county were working more on a management plan. I heard the multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard, and I heard something about, sounds mostly urban. Having looked at a particular part of the community that I live in for the last 3 years, And we've got Agua Caliente wash coming down from the Catalinas through the county into the eastern part of the city, where we're Bear Canyon Neighborhood Association is part of the city. You got Tanque Verde wash coming from the Rincons into merging with the Agua Caliente into the Tanque Verde Creek. That goes through a good portion of the city. There are a lot of areas in the city that are, you may call them urban, but a lot of floodplain challenges. 2006 floods in Sabino Canyon were every bit as destructive there as it was with the Rito and others. And so are those covered in multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard? Other issues are floods that occur as a result of building in an area where engineering consequences were not particularly concerned, i.e. raising of Tanque Verde Road in 2010, 2012 that Elizabeth, because you've been out there and done the inspection, caused catastrophic damage and continues to cause catastrophic damage in areas south of that, where the city and the county did not talk well together. So what I'm trying to push for is, I think it's way past time for the city and the county on the floodplain. A broader look. Now, maybe you're covering them in multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard. That's exactly what I would expect in both floodplains. And how does one hand off the problem to another? I'm not seeing that.
I think that would be a great comment for our floodplain management plan, is to more clearly identify how projects are reviewed by neighboring jurisdictions. We do have regulations that state that the city must share projects that are next to, let's say, the county or Marana, or wherever we're next to the other jurisdiction. And so if there's feedback from either jurisdiction, we share that information. In the past, I've been involved with several projects over the years where we would talk with the other jurisdiction and say, hey, take a look at this. Here's a project that's going on. For instance, there was one project that came in, and it was, I think, it was county. And they said, hey, we got this project, it's near the city. And we took a look at it and said, hey, we've got an issue here. It looks like your outlet design might be directing water toward this house or something, I think it was. And so we were able to provide some additional comments during that review. This does occur. We do have plan reviews for the neighboring jurisdictions. But this may be a good question to say, hey, can this be better clarified and make sure that it's done every time? That would be a good suggestion for our floodplain management plan. In fact, I'll just go ahead and take that down as a suggestion from you for the FMP update as an
I see
action.
John has a question.
Another question? We do have to move on. We got some other jurisdictions to cover. Is there another quick question?
There is a question from Mr. John Lockwood.
Yes.
One second, sir, you are muted.
Look at the mic button above in the bar above your picture, and just hit that. Should unmute you. So it should maybe over to the right, close to where the leave button is.
John, you're also welcome to email us or give me a call.
It looks like.
Can you hear me now?
Just turn up your volume, John. You're weak, but I can hear you barely.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Not very well.
Unfortunately, I can only barely hear you. I think we're gonna have to move on because we're losing time on our the other presentations.
Can you hear me now?
John, if you wouldn't mind, give me a call. I think Tom has my phone number.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna move to the next segment. This is from a the presentation is from Dennis Roberts at the town of Oro Valley. Dennis?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
My name is Dennis Roberts. I'm the Stormwater Utility Division Manager for the town of Oro Valley. Thank you for listening in today as we discuss our division, how we serve the community, some key flood and erosion safety tips, and how to reach us if you ever need assistance. The Stormwater Utility Division plays a crucial role in Oro Valley. We manage the town's drainage system, mitigate flooding risk, and address erosion concerns to protect our infrastructure, environment, and homes. Our goal is to ensure effective stormwater management while promoting public safety and environmental conservation. The Community Rating System, CRS, is a voluntary incentive program under FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program. Oro Valley does not currently participate in CRS, and I'd like to explain why. Unlike some of the other surrounding communities, Oro Valley is uniquely positioned at the foothills of the Santa Catalina Mountains, where flooding is not as significant of a concern. Instead, our primary challenge is erosion, which we address through proactive measures and sustainable management. Furthermore, the number of homes located within designated floodplains in Oro Valley is minimal, meaning CRS participation would not provide substantial benefits to the residents. And after evaluating the program, we found that the cost and administrative requirements outweigh the need for participation. Instead, we focus our efforts on local floodplain management strategies, ensuring safety and efficiency while keeping costs down. The floods can occur suddenly, especially during monsoon season. Here are some key safety tips. Avoid flooded roads. Never attempt to cross running water, even if it looks shallow. Stay informed, check weather alerts and town updates during storm events, and prepare your property. Remove debris from drains, utilize sandbags for flood protection, and familiarize yourself with designated flood zone. In the beginning of a few next slides, I'll explain how to determine your specific flood zone. Elizabeth, can you go back to a slide?
Oh.
Beginning in June 15th, the town will be providing free sandbags to residents who may need to protect areas in their homes from storm runoff during the monsoon. Erosion can threaten roads, landscape, and properties. And to help prevent erosion, maintain drainage systems, keep culverts and storm drains clear, use vegetation and mulch. Planting vegetation stabilizes soil and reduces runoff. Report issues. If you see excessive erosion near roads or waterways, please notify us. How to contact us and submit floodplain inquiries. So our contact information is www.orovalleyaz.gov, and you just navigate through the website by selecting government, then departments, and followed by public works, and finally stormwater utility. Our email goes directly to Public Works, which is pw@orovalleyaz.gov. And you can see our phone number is there, 520-229-4850. If you need to check the floodplain status of a property within the town of Oro Valley, we offer two convenient options. There's a formal floodplain request or by using the town's floodplain inquiry map. You can visit the link provided and click the yellow banner labeled floodplain information. On the right there's an image of what it looks like on the website. There are two links once you access that. One is for a formal floodplain request. For an official determination, you may submit a formal request through our customer portal. This provides a verified assessment of floodplain status and is especially useful for property transactions or compliance inquiries. Next slide, please. Floodplain inquiry map is free. It's free access. So if you select the floodplain inquiry map in the first sentence of the first paragraph. Once inside the map, you simply enter the property's address into the search bar next to the plus symbol. Actually, go to the next slide, please. There it is. So you can see there is a search menu up at the upper right-hand corner. This will take you directly to the location of interest, allowing you to view floodplain designation instantly. We encourage our residents and property owners to use these tools to stay informed and make educated decisions. Should you have any questions or require assistance, our team is here to help. Thank you for your time today. Our division is here to serve Oro Valley, and we appreciate your cooperation in keeping our community safe. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you. You're muted, Elizabeth. Something must have happened to our computer. I'm not sure.
Hold on one moment. Okay, we're gonna go ahead back to the presentation. Sorry for that. Edward, we're going to go ahead and jump straight over to Carrie's presentation first, and then we'll get to the other groups. Hold on one moment. We're going to have Carrie O'Brien as our next presenter for the Arizona Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions. Is this showing two screens or one screen?
There's two screens showing.
Okay, let me swap that. Carrie, are you there? Carrie, are you speaking? We don't have an audio on you. We don't have audio. Carrie? Okay, it looks like Carrie had to drop off. So we're going to go back up to Marana, and then I'll go over the state information when we get to that. Our next speaker is Edward Eastburn. He's the floodplain manager at the town of Marana. Edward, can you go ahead and do your presentation?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for the invitation to present. Again, my name is Edward Eastburn. I'm the floodplain manager for the town of Marana. I moved into this position in March of 2023. Before that, I had a very successful career with the
Oh, your audio dropped, or is it just me?
did it. Okay,
Oh,
how's
there
that?
it goes. That's better.
Okay, I probably didn't click it. Again, thank you, Elizabeth, for that introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to present at this meeting. Again, my name is Edward Eastburn, floodplain manager for the town of Marana. I moved into this position in March of 2023. And before that, I had a very successful career with Pima County Regional Flood Control as a hydrologist with them. The town of Marana has multiple flood hazard areas with associated erosion hazard areas. As such, we are a member of the CRS. We are a class 7 right now. Our citizens are therefore eligible for a 15% discount. Through presentations like this and addressing other activities as part of the CRS, we are actively trying to work toward becoming a class 6 and therefore have our citizens eligible for a 20% discount in their flood insurance. Various flood hazard or sources that we have here in Marana are predominantly dominated by the Tortolina alluvial fan, which dominates to the northeast and east of downtown Marana. The next large flooding source is Santa Cruz River with its associated floodway and the flood fringe areas along its banks. And then another large area is the Brawley Wash outbreak zone off to our west, southwest. And then the smaller area of the Tucson, the western side of the Tucson mountains that are dominated by shallow sheet flow areas. This is a map showing the town of Marana's current jurisdictional area. We're basically almost split right down the middle by the I-10 corridor. You can see clearly the Santa Cruz River and its floodway shaded in light blue there. And off to the northeast is the area of the Tortolina fan and its flood hazard areas. And then the areas off to the south and southwest of the Santa Cruz, again, are dominated by outbreaks from the Brawley Wash and other sheet flood areas. This slide better shows these flood hazard areas, the pink ones being the Tortolina alluvial fan, purple being the Santa Cruz River and its flood fringe areas, and the green areas, the outbreak of the Brawley Wash. As I mentioned earlier, we are a class 7, 15% discount on flood insurance to our residents. There's multiple ways in which the town is actively pursuing additional points, as well as making sure that our infrastructure, citizens, and properties are protected. First and foremost is protecting and preserving our natural drainage areas, floodways, and floodplains, along with their associated washes. Another measure is regulatory tools that we can use to again allow development to occur, but again to protect our natural resources and our important infrastructure. And the next tool would be the engineering. Ways that we protect, especially our floodway and the natural drainage areas, is by limiting development within these areas. By town code, there is no development allowed in the floodway. It is highly protected. and new development that's occurring adjacent to the floodways and the flood fringe areas do require to have engineering analysis to show that development can occur there and will be protected. And we also have minimal setbacks or minimum setbacks away from the floodway and the associated washes. The natural drainages are delineated in our GIS system, as well as within Pima County's GIS system. Here's an example where both the town of Marana and Pima County Regional Flood Control are sharing resources and cooperating. But the natural drainages, we attempt to keep these undisturbed and in their natural condition, thereby offering natural solutions to drainage by keeping the water where nature wants it to be. It's also required by town code that any alterations of the natural drainages does require approval by the town council, who acts as our floodplain board. That can this can either be by just avoiding these areas in the first place, or if there are conditions in which we cannot avoid the natural drainages, where engineering solutions can be used to allow development, but still allow natural or drainage to occur. And then, of course, we try to limit obstructions within the natural flow paths through regulatory and engineering means. Regulatory tools that we use, first and foremost, is education. This is a big part of CRS. One of our most important tools is the town's floodplain management website. And here you can see the address for it, or you can just Google Town of Marana Floodplain Management, and it will normally take you where you need to go. We also have brochures, both here at our office as well as many of the local libraries. We again cooperate with Pima County Regional Flood Control. They allow us to access the monitoring system and their alert system that our residents and others can make use of. And we have an open door policy. If anyone wants to come in and discuss their property or an area in which they're looking to moving, they're always welcome to come in, and we can have a discussion with them our front counter and look at the online maps and the GIS information. Another major source of our regulatory tools is the town's floodplain and erosion codes. The codes do require that development within flood and erosion hazard areas for single lot, commercial, master plan community, as well as some limited open sided structures and improved wash crossings all receive review by the floodplain management and usually the issuance of a floodplain use permit. Single lot developments, commercial lots, and some of the large or the master plan communities that have large lots greater than 16,000 feet, square feet. There are various ways in which they can develop. The top method is to develop in areas that are not going to be within a flood or erosion hazard area. If that cannot be done, then they can either opt to provide physical engineering mechanisms whereby they can submit an application to FEMA and have the site removed from the special flood hazard area if FEMA agrees, or they can opt to use an elevation methods to elevate the infrastructure up and out of the flood hazard, and also protect the mechanism for elevating from scour and erosion protection. By using these, we also would require not only a floodplain use permit, but a finished construction elevation certificate, as-built certificate if scour and erosion protection is required. This is true for all structures within the special flood hazard area, as well as some of our locally mapped hazard areas. Master plan communities that are larger than 16 or have lots less than 16,000 square feet or smaller, by town code, these do have to implement physical engineered features to remove the whole site from the special flood hazard area, and they have to go through the CLOMR-LOMR process. The town will not issue or finalize the plat for these master plan communities until they've received their CLOMR and their LOMR. Other mechanisms for protecting structures is wet flood proofing and venting. These are primarily for non-habitable structures. In the past, we also had dry flood proofing of structures, but we're discontinuing this simply because of lack of resources to properly maintain or to properly oversee these the way that FEMA and the National Flood Insurance Policy wants done. Next slide. The next and last of the tools that we can use is the engineering tool. One of these is for elevating and scour protection, as I've mentioned. Another tools are the creation of levees and bank protection along our medium-sized and larger washes, such as the Santa Cruz and some of the larger washes on the Tortolina Fan. The Santa Cruz bank protection and levee system has greatly benefited the town after its construction, removing one of our very first large master plan communities, Gladden Farms, completely out of the special flood hazard area, as well as some of the surrounding areas. We also have a large part of the community that is mapped within the critical basin area. Because of this, we do have within our codes the requirements for retention and detention basins to meet some of the specifications that you see here for the various 100-year storm events and the various time factors within that. And then we have a various number of channels and storm drains that are have been built and are being built or planned that will also help alleviate flooding within the town's jurisdictions. Next slide. Some of the resources that we have available to immediately to the community. One of them is the flood hazard information sheet. Anyone can either call directly to our office or use our website and fill out the form requesting one of these sheets where we'll go through our various maps and provide information as to whether or not a structure and or the property is in a flood hazard area or an erosion hazard area. We also do provide copies of past floodplain use permits at request. These have to go through the town's public records request system, but if we do have those, they can be made available. The same is true with finished construction elevation certificates. again, these can be requested through the public records office of the town. And again, we have a open door policy. So anyone that, again, would like to come in and discuss whether a property that they're looking at to purchase or their area is in a flood or erosion hazard area, they're welcome to come in and we can discuss at the front counter, looking at the directly at the maps, and we can make some recommendations. Flood insurance is always encouraged. You can find more flood information on our website, such as the government flood information page that Elizabeth described earlier. And as always, the town of Marana encourages homeowners, whether they're in a special flood hazard area, local flood hazard area, or one of the X or D zones, to always buy insurance. As we've stated earlier, the homes, we do have rain events that are larger than what's covered by the 1% flood areas. So it's always better to be safe than sorry, because we do have these larger events occur. And here is our the long-winded version of our web page. Our phone number. You're always anyone is always welcome to contact me directly. This is my direct phone number, and I'll be happy to answer questions. Or they can come into our office here at 11555 West Civic Center Drive. We're on the second floor of the municipal building. Thank you, and I'm open for questions.
Krishana, is there any questions in the chat box?
There are none in the chat at this time, and I don't see anyone's hands up or mics unmuting at this time.
Okay, we're going to go into town of Sahuarita. Nalo Vale is the public works. I believe he's one of the public works.
I'm here, Elizabeth.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, thank you very much, Elizabeth. Just want to, first of all, say thank you to Elizabeth and to the city of Tucson for having the town of Sahuarita as a participating partner in this program. My presentation will be pretty short. I don't have a lot of information that's different from the previous information that was given by our other presenters. Again, my name is Nalo Vale. I'm the Public Works Director, Town Engineer for the town of Sahuarita. Next slide, please. So a lot of our floodplain management program is actually covered under our Title 14, the floodplain and erosion hazard management. All of our development and construction activities basically follow that. Our floodplain and erosion hazard management code, it's almost a mirror copy of the Pima County floodplain and erosion hazard management code, which basically allows the town of Sahuarita to adopt and use a lot of the retention, detention manuals, design manuals, and all other engineering standards, designs, and specification standards that the Pima County has or have adopted. So, so we basically follow all that. The town of Sahuarita does not have any of our local washes or any of our local streams mapped out for floodplains or flood zones. So we basically work, we've been very proactive, been very good at working closely with our developers and property owners to make sure that when they do go in to develop or construct on a property or in an area, we just want to make sure that they're following the floodplain and erosion hazard management code for the town. We depend heavily on the design engineers to give us the 100-year flood limits and the erosion hazard setback limits for all the washes that we don't have mapped. So the only area that's mapped out is the FEMA maps, and that's basically along the Santa Cruz River, both the the east and the west side of Santa Cruz River from the south side all the way to the north limits of the town. Next slide, please. So this is a copy of our floodplain use permit application. Like I had mentioned before, we work closely with the developers, property owners to make sure, even though we don't have our local washes and streams mapped out for a flood zone or flood lines, flood limits, and erosion hazard lines and limits, we still work together with our property owners and civil engineer, drainage engineers to make sure that they comply with the town code in terms of floodplain use. So that's the floodplain use permit that we get. And it's, a lot of times we ask them to give us have an engineer that's registered as a PE in the state of Arizona, do just a simple drainage analysis of whatever property or development. And then we look at it. If it's a development, we usually ask for a drainage report that gives us all that data, all that information. And then we take that and then we review it, make sure that everything is in compliance with our town code. Next slide, please. And that's it. We're located at 375 West Sahuarita Center Way. Our phone number is 520-344-7100. And then any questions that you may have, you can email us through the pwpermits@sahuaritaaz.gov. And that's it. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have.
Krishana, do we have any questions for Sahuarita?
No, there are none in the chat, and I am looking. I don't see any hands up or mics that have unmuted.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to the next presentation by Pima County Regional Flood Control District. Thanks, Nalo.
All right. Hi, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Just a really quick slide from us. Much like Nalo said, our information isn't quite different from a lot of the other presenters either. We do have some information here and some QR codes if you're interested in scanning them. We recently completed our floodplain management plan. So this is the plan that's going to carry the district from 2025 into 2030. The QR code there goes to our floodplain management plan webpage where you can read the approved plan, learn more about our process and all that good stuff. We also provide flood hazard information to residents of unincorporated Pima County. If you're interested in that service, that QR code goes there as well. These are free services. We do everything from development review to, just providing flood hazard information on specific properties. We also participate in the CRS rating service. We are currently a Class 2 community as of April 2024. We're really excited about this rating. It means that we're able to provide up to a 40% discount to residents of unincorporated Pima County. And we also do work with neighboring jurisdictions. So these projects span everything from smaller projects such as stormwater parks, pocket parks built in neighborhoods to reduce localized flooding, and also build in green spaces, all the way up to some of the larger infrastructure projects that you might see, such as the bank protection on many of our major water courses that the loop sits on top of. That's really all the information I have to share today. Our contact information is there. Does anyone have any questions?
Thanks, Camille. For everybody, the phone number for Pima County Regional Flood Control District is 520-724-4600. It's on the screen here, like Camille has mentioned. And they provide a lot of information. If you have questions, you can contact the Pima County Regional Flood Control District. Next presenter is Did anybody have any questions for Camille?
There were none in the chat, and I did not see anyone come off mute.
Next
It looks like
presentation.
John is raising his hand.
Oh, let's get back.
Maybe that.
Lockwood, I'd like Pima County to explain they coordinate the emergency response.
I think their volume is too low.
This is, yes, Elizabeth, we had the same issue earlier, but I heard emergency response.
That's correct.
Okay.
How
Would you like to?
Coordinated with the city?
I'm sorry, John, I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
I don't know why I'm having problems. Is this any better?
A little bit better.
That's my maximum.
Okay, say the question again.
Emergency response. The city, I understand, uses the sensors on the washes to initiate the warnings. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah,
The
I can
city-
speak.
Yeah, you go ahead, Camille. I think
Yeah,
he's asking about the city, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you can take it, Elizabeth, if you'd like.
No, I think it's related to the alert system for the county that the city uses.
Yeah, John, is your question about how we coordinate
Yes.
those alerts?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, definitely. Yeah, I can get into that a little bit. Yeah, the county has a series of stream and rainfall gauges throughout Pima County. We use this data to coordinate with the Office of Emergency Management, which ultimately is the information behind the My Alert system. So that's the emergency alert system that we utilize. It's an opt-in system where you can register a number of different addresses. So even if you're traveling, you're able to get those alerts. So we provide all the information and have a series of automated responses to certain levels that we might see collected by any of those gauges. But we also have a member on staff who is on call pretty much 24/7 during monsoon season. So if one of those rain gauges hits a certain level, we're able to, verify that it's a actual reading, that there's not something malfunctioning with one of those stream or rainfall gauges. And then we coordinate with the Office of Emergency Management to put out those alerts. And I believe that's the same system that Elizabeth was referencing earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Good question. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and cover the Arizona office, the Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions. She had to hop off. We are over our 1 hour time frame here. So I'm going to cover the information provided by Carrie O'Brien, who's the Public Information Officer at the Arizona office. It's the Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions. This is a state agency. They have insurance oversight. And so they look and help people determine if there's issues with insurance. They help monitor financial health of insurers, and they review contracts, and they help consumers with their questions regarding problems or complaints, and they help investigate if there's issues with the insurance contract. They like I mentioned, they provide oversight, and this includes flood insurance, but they don't regulate like the city and the towns do down in our jurisdiction, but they do provide some guidance on investigating issues with insurance. So they also look at private insurance products. For instance, Lloyd's of London has a insurance policies that are provided for some locations within the city of Tucson, not all locations. And they seem to be providing lower rates than typical insurance policies. And I guess the Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions might have information on how their product is working or how they're doing in the state of Arizona. So if you're interested in that kind of question, you could contact them. Some information here. Some of this we've covered in some of our slides previously, but this is a nice wrap up for our presentation today. Floods are among the most widespread natural disaster in the U.S. Flooding is not just in a river or from a river or arroyo. It doesn't necessarily just be caused by an overflow of a river, but in the case of the alert system, we do use it for that. But it can be within the city streets or other locations. 25% of the NFIP National Flood Insurance Program claims are in non-flooded zones. Flood is not covered by homeowner or renter's insurance. So you have to ask for it as a separate policy. Wildfires increase flooding, as we mentioned before. Let's see, let's go back a bit here. So flood is not just overflowing river or body of water. It can be standing or flowing water that comes into your house at ground level from any source. It's likely considered flooding by your home insurance and may not be covered. So you have to make sure you check your policy. Let's see. So floods that follow fire conditions, as you can see in this image, you've got charred soil that blocks the water absorption as the storm water runoff crosses those charred areas. And so that increases potential for debris flows and soil failure, as well as an increase in runoff conditions that causes that debris flow to move down into areas that may not otherwise be considered in a flood zone or at risk. So you can see debris flow as well as flooding occurring in other areas not expected. And so new maps have to be generated. Pima County Flood Control District has those maps available. You can go to the Pima County Precipitation website, and in one of those sidebar drop downs, you can look up information regarding risk for post fire conditions, especially from the Bighorn fire. I would recommend going to Pima County Regional Flood Control District directly and looking at their maps with the staff at the counter, and they can open up the correct layers for that online map. These you can have a significantly higher flood risk 5 years after a flood event due to the fact that the vegetation hasn't been reestablished. 4% of the homes in the states hit by wildfires had National Flood Insurance Program policies. So it's a good idea to find out what your risk is with regard to where you're located in these downstream areas from areas where fires have occurred. Every building is actually in a flood zone, and it just depends on what type of zone it might be. Like I mentioned before, some are required to have a flood insurance policy. Those are including buildings that have a federally backed loan. Water that enters your home from outside at the ground level is flood, but it's not covered in a standard homeowner's insurance. Your flood insurance policies could be less than homeowners insurance, but keep in mind it's an additional policy and it's above the amount of your regular homeowner's coverage. You can buy flood insurance that covers your house and structure, or you can also buy coverage just for your belongings. You can do either or both. Renters are encouraged to look at and consider getting flood insurance for their contents or their belongings, especially in apartment complexes that are on the first floor. Generally, one must purchase flood insurance in advance before the 30-day wait period before you can start asking for or putting in a claim. So you can't put in a claim and, the day after you buy the policy, typically. Arizona flood claims, you can see in this image here, in the 1983 flood, you can see that peaked at 500 claims and close to the same amount for the 1993 flood event. You can go to floodsmart.gov, get a lot more information. And as mentioned, there's some tools there that you can look at. You can get an estimate on your flood insurance policy estimate. And you can find insurance providers as well at floodsmart.gov. As mentioned before, make sure you're typing in floodsmart.gov and not floodsmart.com. This is just an image of a sample map. This is actually City of Scottsdale, but there's various types of maps that are used to determine location by the insurance companies. They also sometimes come to the local jurisdiction to find flood status. Flood insurance risk, the National Flood Insurance Program, and risk factor, and the firststreet.org. These are various websites that you can take a look at, find additional information. And if anybody else has any more questions, you can put in the chat or go ahead and speak up now. Do you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time. There's none in the chat.
Hey, thank you for attending. And if you want to place your email address in the chat box, we'll place you on our email list to send you more information of upcoming outreach events. Thank you for attending. If you missed any part of this presentation,